1.9. And I'm going to abandon topic for something else that I had in mind. Oh, I have more obsidian than I thought. Cool, okay. Well, I'm going to put this stuff away, because I might want it later. As well as this stuff. Let's see, I probably won't need that where I'm going. Oh! Well, yes, I made a fishing rod. However, I need... Oh! I missed something. Well, I don't know. I've become a little bit of a nutrition evangelist, I guess. Mostly based off this the research and presentations done by this guy, Dr. Lustig, who largely shows sugar is this huge problem that we have to deal with. Why do I feel like... Why don't I have any ender eyes? I should have ender eyes. And so I have been pretty enthusiastically sharing his lectures, you know, because they've been made available on YouTube. With anyone. I mean, I've done it with you guys. I've one of the previous Denebs definitely included links, even in the end credits, which are usually devoted to other stuff, included links to this stuff. And, you know, it's really good stuff. I really like it. It's done correctly, scientifically, open-mindedly. It really is kind of hard to argue against. And why would you want to, since anybody who adheres to it ends up much healthier than they were before. So obviously, at least enough of it is correct as to be worth pursuing and researching further. Yes, I'm going to need a bunch of this stuff, sorry. So, you know, it seems straightforward to me. And it it seems pretty harmless to then also try to share it with others. However, if you do so, or if I do so anyways, you end up with very different results. Does this work? Yes, okay. Do we think this is enough stairs? I actually don't know that it is. So I have a long way to go. Frankly, this sort of thing deserves to be a project. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do that. This will be easier to think of. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's number 6? There it is. Very good. Oh, do I have any? Is there anything else I need to bring with me? I think I'll leave that behind. This isn't a mining expedition. Oh, I don't have room. I don't need that. Let's put that away. I really don't. Okay, well, let's head off to the next location and see what we can find there. So what am I saying? This happens a lot. I also got in sort of a gun control argument today. Well, not really argument. It was more of a debate, because the person on the other end, though they disagreed, was actually civil, which is pretty much the difference between an argument and a debate, as far as I can tell, through experience. Anyways, what am I getting at? Well, the topic at hand is confirmation bias and or denial, and I'm not necessarily sure that they don't have a strong overlapping presence. Actually, I also got in a debate about what the difference is between an atheist and an agnostic, which to me seems extremely explicit, but to this one guy who wanted to argue it were the same thing, and which really makes no sense to me unless his goal, his or her, who knows, goal is to essentially make an us versus them scenario where one of those groups is right and everybody else is wrong, which is generally the tactic that puts me off the most. But in any case, every one of these debates, even the civil ones, I'm only including the civil ones, frankly, every single one of these events or debates involved confirmation bias. And what I can't tell you is that I'm immune, because I didn't... Probably, most of the time, the confirmation bias is based on what you... Well, if you aren't familiar, the definition is essentially picking and choosing only information that serves the narrative you already believe in. Accepting things that already make sense to you rather than anything that even remotely challenges your preconceived notions. It's a pretty natural thing to do, and you can't really blame someone for doing this on their own time. Meaning they go and they read and research, they pick stuff that already is of interest or already seems to be saying what they expect. What bothers me, like I said, that's normal. Sorry, I have something in my throat. What bothers me is when they still do it when confronted with alternative information. Let's see, what am I looking for? Hello. Not really. Tools, not really. Are any of these of use to me right now? Fortune 2. When did I get that? Efficiency 1. Flora. Not really. Oh. I do see I have more golden carrots, though. That is most appreciated. Fauna. This is what I want right here. Excellent. I only need one, though. Okay, so let's make ourselves a new nether chest, please. Like so. Oh, and such as. And so on. I do not know that I have one of these already at the location I'm going to, so I'm putting them there. Okay, is there anything else I can take out of here? Yeah, let's just do a second one of these. Meet the carrot. Hello, meet the carrot. Alright, so thinking and talking are not always compatible. The most circumstance where I've run into this sort of denialist, as opposed to common confirmation bias, denial bias, maybe we'll just call it that, denial bias, has been around the Dr. Lustig's material, basically, about how sugar is essentially toxic, is addictive, is a poison, and is pretty much thoroughly responsible for the obesity epidemic, not just in the United States, but in all cultures that adopt our diet. Immediately after they adopt our diet, they start suffering from the same conditions we do. And the evidence and the correlations and all these things are very... Oops. I think the point here was to actually start building this thing out. Are very, very strong. Basically undeniable. And he even goes into why... why the FDA or the USDA and stuff like that are so hesitant or unwilling to address the topic, which is all very interesting too. But that topic aside, probably don't need that here in the nether. That topic aside, let's see. I need... There we go. We'll just do this. Yeah, this is kind of inconvenient, but regardless, it's got to be done. What's getting my goat about all this is the folk who, when confronted with a data source that says something other than what they want to hear, will ultimately ignore it. They won't even try to engage with it. They will simply say, oh, I don't have time for that, or I have, oh, that's, because these things were on YouTube. Oh, YouTube's not a resource, it's just junk on YouTube. Any excuse whatsoever to not engage with this material, and it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating because it's actually the material that I'm referencing to is actually really, it's high quality. It's actually entertaining. The guy who's doing the presentation has a way about him that makes it much easier to watch his material. So it's not as if it's a boring. I mean, there are 2 videos total, and they amount to about 3 hours of lecture between them, and yet that time just flies by. He's really good at what he does, and I personally have watched him several times over. So if you want to say, hey, somebody has a bias, well, sure, I have a bias, but my bias was produced by the information rather than the information restricted by the bias. Whenever I get into any kind of debate with people on this topic, I have never, ever, ever, ever encountered somebody who has data to contradict what I'm trying to say. And at the same time, they refuse, like I said, to watch the videos or even read up on the topic. It's a waste of their time. Obviously, it couldn't be true. These resources obviously junk. Any excuse whatsoever, and it's pretty horrifying. Very frustrating. I don't know. I'm trying to think, what else can I say about that exactly? I mean, that's the thrust of it right there. I don't know. It's just, now I'm struggling. Some topics are definitely shorter than others. I sort of understand it, and actually, one of the projects that I have not yet to, but intend to work on, is sort of a bias buster, and actually, that's a fantastic name. But then again, if I call it that, people will know what the point is, and I don't necessarily want people to know. I want people to use this for personal gain, not avoid it because they think the whole point is to mess with their accepted belief structures. All I care about is what the truth really is. That should be all anybody cares about, really. What's real? Because if you think about it, if you arm yourself with misinformation, if you arm yourself with obviously bad data, even if it's comforting, do you really expect that you're not going to have a bad time? How long can you operate on bad data and expect there to be no consequence? This is a mystery to me, absolutely. And yet, it's common. It is absolutely so common. Hello. Oh, excuse me. Oh, man, I thought that little guy was running for me for a second there. Let's see, can I... There it is. We'll just do it here. Don't want to go. Actually, I do want to go. Oh, I ran out. Well, screw you then. Jeez. Hold on. Gotta get this just right. Oh, won't let me. Crap. Okay. Oh, fine. Oh, but what I was talking about, and this is more under development. Oh, frig. But, like, web dev is another of my categories. Oh! Frig. Well, that'd still work. Bear with me. Are you freaking kidding me? Well, the first one was easy, but now it's just screw you very much, right? There we go. And we'll do this. Like so. This is practically a project episode, except there's no designated project. Anyways, the truth is the truth is the truth. And while it can be different in different circumstances, like if you were to say, I need X, Y, and Z to survive, well, that's going to be true differently for a person living in a rural countryside versus someone living in an urban, area. Completely different circumstances. Both are true, but they're not the same. Sometimes there are problems. You could say, well, 3 plus, or, what do you add together to get 10? I realize it's a weird example, but ultimately, there are a lot of different answers, and they're all equally true, even though they're different. So I'm not saying there's just one truth, and I'm not also saying the truth can't change. Things do change over time. Otherwise, we couldn't exist as life forms without change. You should fear the lack of change. Fearing, change is something you don't want to have happen too fast, but you don't want to happen too slow either, lest you stagnate and die off that way. Point being, even so, there are things that are pretty strictly true. To say the sun is hot is pretty damn true. Even if there are hotter objects out there, it's still hot. A matter of, I guess from hydrogen's perspective, the Earth is boiling over too. But yeah, so maybe that's a bad example. I wish this was easier or quicker. I just had to choose an aesthetically pleasing and yet complicated design for my roads, and then decide to go way the hell out into the middle of nowhere, I suppose. Ultimately, my goal tonight is to make it back out to the inland sea, just off the coast of my mushroom territory, and go on a binge of undersea clay collection, because I don't have a mesa biome, and the mesa biomes don't produce the colors I need. I've been using that lime green clay, or hardened clay, that is. So let's see, how can I put this? The thing my friend and I, he's religious, he's very, I don't want to say conservative because it's a misused word, but he's definitely Republican-leaning, to be sure. But, he's a little bit more willing to use the tribal terms, conservative versus liberal, than I am. I want them to actually mean what they say, not just be a title. But regardless... Oops. Regardless... Ooh, yes, okay. We have had these debates before about varying things, and we don't really often agree. And that's not super unusual. We can generally agree in the spirit of stuff, but not necessarily in the application of, or consequences of, or solution for. Those things are always different. And the thing I noticed, and this is what got me into the whole wondering about confirmation bias as a phenomena, was the fact that we would each approach the topic with what seemed like very, very good and pretty conclusive evidence or data supporting data, and then we would each tell our own to the other, and the other would have never heard of that. And on a good day, that means stepping back, ceasing the debate, and then proceeding forward, or mulling the new information. And that is the honest way to do it, because it is not, the best and biggest computers in the world don't contain all information, and they probably can't. Not for a very long time anyways, even by our standards of exponential growth in this technological field. Humans cannot be expected to do this, even when, in a decade or two, we are effectively merged with our technology. It is still not probably a reasonable expectation to know everyone, to know everything, and just automatically be able to garner whatever the truth might be. Am I heading down? Let's see about this. So, what then? You gotta say... Okay, so... heading off that way then, huh? Okay. I kind of like to keep my road out in the open as much as possible for scenicness or osityism. You know, jeez. But so we each had our own confirmation bias before arriving for a particular debate. And so the idea cropped up, well, because my thing was I just genuinely didn't know the things that he brought to the table. And I didn't have the opportunity to process any of them in the midst of a debate. It's not fair to be able to expect someone to be able to so instantaneously understand new information. They need time to think about it. And if you press them, then they're going to get angry and frustrated, and the debate's going to devolve into a mess. And if you're a troll who's only looking for debate, or looking for angstiness and argument and making the other guy look bad, then they'll probably press the issue. But trolls rarely ever get far enough to actually have any real information to bring to a debate anyways. Typically, they just argue and use ad hominem and personal slander and stuff like that. Never actually have data to offer whatsoever. Just wit. Wit, I find, is a really, really useless skill to have. I mean, not useless, but if the center of your being is wit, and you have no substance, then I've just met people like that, and I've learned to dislike the way they do things. Regardless, we sort of decided, well, we're each unaware of information, and the fact of the matter is we are unaware that we're unaware, which is an honest error, and pretty much unavoidable by any human being ever anywhere. So what do you do except try to come together and use some sort of algorithm, which is my general idea on this matter. Use some kind of algorithm to try to compare, contrast, sift, test, examine, vet, which is the same thing as test, I suppose. How do you figure out what from this massive information is real and true, and under what circumstances is it real and true, if it can be true under multiple circumstances? Can you figure out from all of this what the nature of the problem is, so that perhaps it even has the sort of sociological equivalent of a physics equation that explains it, so that you can predict under what circumstances something is true and is under what circumstances it's not. Stuff like that. And it really is a bias buster, is what I hope it will be. I just don't want people to perceive it in a negative light, because the idea is that everyone involved will come away with better, more relevant, more true, more trustworthy information than they had before. And not just the other guy, but me too, because I genuinely want to be able to do the best that I can with the best information that I can. And if I don't have it, how can I be expected to to do well, survive, whatever the case may be? Let's see, where does this go from here? Don't tell me I followed a... Come on, really? I see one down there, but I don't see it connecting. A connector, is that really it? I usually don't space them out this far. I mean, I can obviously get there from here. I hope I'm going the right way. Oh well, I think that's good enough for now. So I guess, in retrospect, this will be another truth episode with a focus on bias. But there you have it. So thanks for watching, and please come again soon, damn it. Or else...